Kathleen, do we have somebody for an invocation tonight?
Yeah, invocation will be done by Manuel Velasquez. Welcome to the podium.
All right. Well, thank you, City Council, for the invite, and to be able to open in prayer, it's an honor. So for those who want to join me in prayer, Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with gratitude for this city, for its peoples, for its leadership. You have entrusted us with this care. So Father, we ask you for your blessing upon this council. Grant them with wisdom that only comes from you, clarity with decisions that are complex, courage when choices are costly, and humility in every step. Father, we ask for a hedge of protection over this city, for a refreshment of unity where there has been division before, for broken systems to be renewed with holy strategy. The justice of heaven is reconciliation, and we need it more now than ever. Your word tells us that righteousness exalts a nation, so we ask that righteousness would rise in this city through its leadership and through its people. We need what only you can bring, which is revival in every heart, an encounter with your presence, Lord. Let this council be known for its unity, its service, and its integrity. May every decision be made here reflect justice, mercy, and compassion, so that this city might be a shining light, a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. I declare breakthrough tonight. I declare supernatural change tonight. I declare that this leadership will make the difference that we need in this city. So we entrust this meeting and these leaders of this community in your hands, Father. We give you all the glory and all the honor. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please rise and remove your caps if you haven't. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we're going to do a quick roll call to see who we have here. We have Victoria.
Here.
We have Kathleen.
Here.
Rick.
Here.
And online I have Joel.
Here.
Thank you. And online I have Eric.
Yes.
All right, we got 5. We got a quorum. We'll go ahead and go forward. First on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter in salary adjustment with the International Association for Firefighters, Local 3564. And I'll hand it over to you, Aaron. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. I won't repeat the subject matter. That was a mouthful, so we'll just move on from my first slide and go into the second slide. We are looking for the authorization by passing of a resolution, authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement with the local fires union. The current labor contract with the IAFF permitted a wage opener for this year for January 1, 2026. And we met in May, and then with council parameters, we came to an agreement within council parameters, and that is what's in front of you today in your packet. There really is one main thing, because it was only salary only, so it was not open to anything other than wages. So there was a salary schedule adjustment for all positions, which provides for a 4% increase in each step within the firefighters' salary schedules. Call to action is today's date, and it is, we're bargaining in good faith, so that is for us to move forward with something today if possible. Cost implication for 6 months is $107,251. That's could be basically doubled if you're looking at it for a year. Your alternatives are moved to approve the resolution. Council could choose not to authorize, but this could lead to an unfair labor practice potentially, and a claim from the union, and there's a potential motion in front of you. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
All right, bring back to council. Any questions for Aaron? Rick?
Thank you, Aaron. Do you know how many positions that includes when we look at the total package?
Yeah, I believe it's 28.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Kathleen?
Will the council be approving the adjustments?
Yes, with this resolution, you'd be approving a 4% across the board to their salary structure.
Any further questions of council? That includes everybody online, Eric, Joel, and I guess we have Indra online too. Any questions from you guys? All right, seeing none. Eric has a question? Go ahead, Eric.
No. I think we're good.
Thank you very much, Eric. All right, if we have no further questions, at this time, we'll open it up to public comment on this matter only. So if anybody from the audience wants to exercise their right for public comment in regards to this council action, now is the time to step up to the podium. All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for further discussion and/or action. Rob.
I have a question.
Eric, you have a question or discussion?
Both.
Okay, go ahead then.
Is it typical that it says, I notice it says 107,251, 6 months. Is that typical for this type of thing to do it by 6 month increments, or am I misreading that?
Well, that's a great question, Council. And the reason why I put that in there is because this is sort of from a fiscal year perspective, how will impact our current fiscal calendar and the budget. So the negotiations and the contract is for a year, but it's for a calendar year. We are budgeting on a fiscal year. So the last 6 months of our current budget, the 4% will represent $107,000. The second 6 months, which would be technically in next year's budget, would be around $108,000. And so that's the only reason why it was separated out, so you could be clear on how it would impact an additional cost to what current fiscal year we're in right now.
Are you good with that, Eric?
Thank you, yes.
Did you have further discussion?
No.
Okay, thank you. Rob?
So a similar question. Thanks, Eric. So per year then, Aaron, per year it's roughly $216,000 for roughly per year.
Yeah, per year you're looking
asking
at,
for.
that's correct for the 4%.
Victoria?
This also includes all new hires?
Thank you for that question. This does not include the additional 6. Those aren't on the books yet. When we were doing the negotiations and setting the budget for this, it was for our current staffing levels. So this represents our current staffing levels.
Okay, any further discussion? And it looks like, Indra, do you have something to add?
Yes, that was my question about the new hires. Do we have any estimate on how much more that is going to be?
Yeah, JC and I are probably both pulling out our calculators on our phone right now to figure that out, but he might have an answer for you.
Depending roughly who we hire, because depending on who we hire, there are different certifications that firefighters are eligible. You're looking at anywhere around $150,000 with benefits per person per year.
Clinton, I had some discussion also.
Okay, Joel, go ahead.
So I'm going to vote yes for this because it's a 4% raise. I just want to point out to everybody we got a problem, a long-term problem here that between the annual step increases that everybody gets plus the cost of inflation, if it equals like, just say 10%, in a 7-year period, 7 years from now, everybody's salary will be double what it is today. And it's going to outrun our income stream significantly. And every city in the state of Oregon faces this, basically because of some laws and because of the way we fashion the step increases. Again, I'm going to vote for this because I think that with the 4% increase because of inflation, that is reasonable and the people deserve it. The long-term implications of both union and non-union of continuing to have the annual step increase plus the inflation increases would result in everybody having double the wages that they have 7 years from now from what they have today. And whether that's appropriate or not, I guess it's going to depend on the inflation. Because I know if you go back 7 years, certainly the wages are a lot less than what they are today. So it's just something to be conscious of as we look at this.
Thank you, Joel. Any further discussion? I've got Rick, Victoria, and Indra online, so we'll go ahead and start with Rick.
So Aaron, today is an action date, but what is the effective date for this to start? Is it retroactive or just January 26th?
Yeah, it is to begin January 26th. So they notified us that they're ready to bargain there. And so we're still good. This will go into effect January 1, 2026.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Victoria?
I was looking at the schedules in our packet, pages 31 through 35, and my question, I'm looking at a step 1 versus a step 6, and even I'm not seeing that it's double after 7 years, so, but maybe Joel was just talking about step increases, cost of living increases. So my question is, from our packet on page 31, say, does that include COLA increases year to year, or is this just the base salary?
This is in essence, COLA that you're providing them would
right.
be this 4%.
So it is included in there. So I'm not seeing that it's a double after 7 years, and there is an increase, but I'm not seeing that it is double. Am I correct about that?
Based on the salary structure, you're correct.
Could I answer also?
Absolutely, Joel, go ahead.
So if the step increase adds, let's say on the average 5%, and let's say inflation on the average is 5%, that's 10% a year that wages increase. If you compound anything, the miracles of compound interest, if you compound at 10% over 7 years, your principal doubles or your salary doubles. Now, what you look at step increases with just the 4% increase and going out 7 years does not reflect that. But if you add the additional step increases plus yearly inflation, and it equals the equivalent of 10% interest per year, the wages will double in 7 years. It's just simple math. I'm just telling you the truth. It's just simple math.
Okay, thank you, Joel. I also had further discussion. Indra is online. Go ahead, Indra.
Oh, yes, I just wanted to piggyback on what Joel says. This is a big issue and concern coming up. So, $200,000 for a year is a lot for our city, and the police, we just gave a raise to. They're adding more staff to their department. The other staff, I think I am going to vote for it, but I think we really need to look at the budget as far as personnel goes next year, because this is not sustainable. It's just not.
Any further discussion? Anybody online have anything else to add? All right, I'll continue to bring it to council for further discussion and/or action.
I have a question, I have a discussion.
Okay, Eric, go right ahead.
So I understand what Joel and Indra and what was brought up there. It is concerning whenever we're dealing with union issues and all that. It's pretty direct. It's unfortunate that these are the parameters that the city is forced to go into. And so it is a big concern going down the road, looking at it. Our firefighters do need to get paid, but at some point, this needs attention. And it's like one of those things that it could just pop up out of nowhere again, because we have so many other things going on. But I think this is something that is very important to look at further on down the road. So I'm going to vote for it, but it is more of a proceed with caution type of mentality with me. So that's my piece.
So Clint?
Yes, Joel, go right ahead.
Well, unless there's further discussion, I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a salary adjustment with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3564, and I'm proud to be a part of Grants Pass and the firefighters that are here in the city.
All right, we have a motion on the table to go forward with this action, and we have a second from Kathleen. All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll go for a roll call vote. Rick?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a resolution awarding funds for the fall 2025 cycle of the Tourism Promotion Grant Program. And it looks like Dana will lead us in the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm Dana Pierce with the Economic Development Division here, and like the Mayor said, we're looking at the Fall 2025 Tourism Promotion Grant Awards. This resolution would be for awarding funds for the Fall 2025 cycle of the Tourism Promotion Grant Program. This resolution will award lodging tax funds to 3 grant applicants for tourism promotion. It relates to council goals of economic growth. A bit of background: in April of 2023, the City Council approved a resolution to establish the Tourism Promotion Grant Program. And in both FY24 and FY25, $35,000 was awarded to 9 organizations to promote tourism activities. In fiscal year 26, we have allocated $35,000 for tourism promotion awards to be reviewed and in 2 established grant cycles, fall of 2025 and then also in spring of 2026. The applications for the fall cycle opened on July 1st and closed on August 12th. And the grant review subcommittee scored 5 applications and met on August 27th to discuss the award recommendations to bring to the City Council. A little bit more background on the program rules and criteria. When this was originally established, surplus tourism promotion dollars were identified and the grant program criteria was established. The funds for the program are used to assist eligible businesses and nonprofits with $2,500 to $5,000 each to promote events and services that attract tourists. They must be registered businesses with the city and located within the urban growth boundary. They also have to have expenses that are lodging tax eligible, which are expenses associated with attracting people from 50 plus miles away or leading to overnight stays. Here are the recommendations that the Grant Review Subcommittee are putting before you this evening. Starting with the Latitude Wine Tours, they requested $5,000 for promotional funding, and the subcommittee is recommending the $5,000. The Grants Pass Downs requested $5,000, and the subcommittee is recommending the $5,000 full funding for that project. Road Gateway Rotary Foundation requested $3,500, and the committee is recommending $5,000 for that project. The Cafe Nada Bar requested $5,000, and the Cynthia's Home Sweet Home requested $2,200. Each of those, the subcommittee is not recommending funding for those projects at this time. The total requested for this cycle was $20,700, and the subcommittee is recommending to award $15,000. Here's a little bit more background on each project. The Latitude Wine Tours requested funds for Sip and Stay, a seasonal wine experience. It's a digital marketing campaign to increase off-season tourism by promoting Grants Pass-based overnight travel itineraries. The campaign would run from November to February, and it would be focused on regional target markets like Portland, Seattle, and Northern California. The Grants Pass Downs was looking for funding for marketing and advertising their horse races at the Grants Pass Downs. They'd like to invest more in digital marketing and to focus their reach on audiences beyond that 50 miles, also leading to overnight stays. They're hoping to draw in new visitors and grow the sport. They also have a documented track record with funds from previous rounds. The Road Gateway Rotary Foundation is requesting funding for Porch Fest. It's a well-established national event, and they've run it here for 5 years locally. They're looking at doing a targeted online campaign focused on broadening their geographic reach and promoting Grants Pass's family-focused attractions. The subcommittee recommended additional funding for this project to help with data collection and tracking tools. They recognize that this event is run by volunteers, so it's difficult to track the number of people. Felt that having some additional tracking tools would help identify where folks are coming from. The other applicants, Cafe Nada Bar, they requested funds for a youth and community events program. They were focused on local event activity and covering costs of setting up the venue, which was something that the committee didn't feel would be eligible. They also had some proposed purchases that were not eligible costs. The review committee did not feel that the events would encourage overnight stays either. For Cynthia's Home Sweet Home, the proposal was Town Tours Weekend, which was customized tour packages. Though the idea had merit, the marketing strategy needed some work, and some items listed in the budget were also not eligible expenses. The subcommittee would like to have them consider reapplying after doing a little bit of market research. So this evening, the cost implications, the revenue source is lodging tax. There's $35,000 allocated in the FY26 tourism promotion service budget. $15,000 would be distributed in the amounts listed for the fall 2025 cycle, and then that would leave $20,000 remaining for the spring cycle of 2026. Just a note here that funds distributed are distributed as a reimbursement upon submittal of eligible receipts. The call to action is this evening, September 17th, and it is at council discretion. You can approve the recommended award funds. You can modify what we've recommended or deny the fund request. Here's a potential motion for you.
Thank you, Dana. I'll bring back to council. Any questions for Dana? Kathleen and Victoria. Kathleen?
Dana, how much is the getting people to stay overnight from 50 miles away? How is that heavily weighed on, or is that just one of the many eligible ways people can qualify?
It is part of the scoring criteria because of the statute. The funds that we receive, the statute specifically says that tourism promotion equals people coming from 50 miles away or more, or leading to an overnight stay.
Any further questions? I got Victoria.
I noticed that one Road Gateway Rotary asked for $3,500, but the amount recommended is 5,000. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, the reasoning was the group, the subcommittee, reviewed what they had and thought it would be difficult for them to track the data to determine how many people were coming from out of town. And so they wanted to recommend that we give them additional funding to enlist some tracking tools so that we could actually identify. They did feel like it's a good event, that they do believe it attracts people, but with just having volunteers counting folks coming in, they don't sell tickets or anything like that where you could count the number of people coming. So that's why the recommendation was a little bit higher to help support getting actual data that would help us identify that.
And this was Porch Fest, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay. So that, I had a second question, if I could ask it now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think you may have answered it a little bit in the answer to the last question, but do we have information on tracking the return on the city's investment over time? Or are we just beginning to work on that with things like you just explained?
Yeah, so from our first cycle, it's only a few years old. It's only been since 2023, I think, that we have run this. So we've been getting reports back. The way that the program works, they have a year to spend it, and then they have to report back. So we're just starting to get a lot of reporting back on the return. We're also helping, through this process, helping educate those that are receiving the grant on ways that they can track, and on the front end, providing technical assistance so that they can make sure that they're getting that information back to us.
All right, we got a few counselors online. Further questions from counselors online? I have Indra. Go ahead, Indra.
Yes, my first question's similar. So with the additional funds, 1,500, that's a lot for tracking. Is that, so if you determine Porch Fest doesn't bring people from 50 miles or only brings half, I mean, then the reason is to decide whether to stop giving funds in the future? Like, what's the purpose for tracking that exactly?
The purpose is to help us better understand how these tools are working. So with these promotional funds, we're putting it out there to try and encourage tourism and encourage people to come here. So if we can actually look at real data that shows us that it's working, that's helpful for us. I think we would consider reinvesting if we saw that the major draw. That's something, I guess, to be determined. Another thing to note, this is a reimbursement grant, so even the recommendation is, let's just go ahead and put it to 5,000 so that they can have funding for tracking tools. In the long run, they still have to spend that money and then be reimbursed for it. So if they only spend, let's say $700,000, or not $700,000, $700 on tracking tools, then that's what they'd be reimbursed for.
Okay, so they're going to do their own tracking.
They will enlist
they're going to do
a
it
tool
and
for that.
submit it to the city. Okay. And then along with that, so if it's a new event and we have no idea where the people are coming from or how far they might come from, how do we justify giving them money if we don't even know, and why would we penalize them by not giving them money just because we don't know? So I guess, sorry, my question is, how are you determining with a new event how that is drawing people from 50 miles?
Yeah, that's part of the scoring, honestly. When the committee scores the different applications, they look at several different things. Some of it has to do with the draw, some of it has to do with the time of year and various different elements, but we score the applications, and the ones that score at the top typically are the ones that we look at first for funding. In some cases, people apply, for example, these last two that aren't receiving funding, they submitted purchases that weren't eligible. So those, we'd right off the top have to take that out and say, well, we can't pay for those expenses anyway. So it brought down even what the request would be, but there were other elements too that we'd like to see that there is some level of planning and prep, even if it is a new project. We have funded in previous cycles new projects, so it really just is a matter of evaluating what we see at the time.
Okay, and my last question. So Visit Grants Pass does marketing promotion for 50-plus miles. So do they work with the people in these events to determine if people are coming? And they receive money from the city already. So are they helping determine with events who's coming from out of town?
Yes, to some extent, and they're providing technical assistance as well. So it depends on the event itself, but yes, Visit Grants Pass is available for technical assistance, and in some cases, depending on what the event is and the size, they might be contributing in that way.
So would it be duplicate money that the city's paying to pay the event people and Visit Grants Pass to do the same thing?
No, because right now, Visit Grants Pass, they have very specific targets for the work that they do. What this grant does is open it up to other individuals that have events that maybe aren't our largest events. There are a lot of the events that we're seeing are ones that we haven't heard of before, which I think is exciting, actually, that we can help support those folks. Some of the events have not targeted marketing beyond 50 miles, so their target market is just local. They market to Grants Pass or just the Rogue Valley, but being able to provide them additional funding so they can market further away opens it up for those organizations to bring in a bigger draw for their events.
And one more, because you just confused me, because these events are getting tourism dollars, which means they are drawing from 50-plus miles away. So they are not local events.
Some of the people that
So
have...
this money we're giving them, this money we're giving them is from tourism dollars, which is 50-plus miles away. I thought that's what you said earlier, but maybe I was mistaken.
I could give an example, I guess. The Grants Pass Downs is a good example because previously they were not marketing as far away as they do now. They pitched the horse races to the Rogue Valley and closer than what they're doing now, but they've seen the advantage of marketing beyond, and now they are investing a lot more in their outside marketing because it's creating a bigger draw for the event.
Okay, that's not... I guess I'm not being clear. This money we're awarding today to this is from tourism dollars that requires it be 50-plus miles. Am I wrong on that? I thought that's what was said earlier.
That's correct.
It is correct. Okay, Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, Brad, you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I think Dana covered most of it, but Counselor, I was just going to clarify on that. So the Oregon revised statute that regulates tourism money, is very specific about the promotion piece. So as long as your advertising mechanism, so for example, a radio station in Eugene, or some other television station, or a print magazine that goes into an airplane pocket in front of you, the mechanism that you're using to reach people more than 50 miles, that's part of the promotion. So that is not necessarily that, you can only use the TLT dollars, for the event that can only serve tourists. I mean, I think the real key here is where is the money being spent to attract people that reside more than 50 miles? I don't know if that gets to the core of your question or not, Counselor.
Thank you. Yes.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. And we'll open it up to public comment in regards to this resolution. Is anybody from the public want to step to the podium and make comments in regards to this council action? Step up to the podium. Please, comments are going to be addressing this council action only, please.
Jim Ciano, Josephine County. I just want to know, is the city and county population, as far as recruiting them or to go to these events, has that been exhausted? And if not, how come there's not money spent on getting the in-town and county people to this event? So that's my question.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public in regards to this council action? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for further discussion and or action. Kathleen?
Does he want to go first?
Anyone online want to weigh in on this? Joel?
So Clint, this is Joel.
Okay,
So, yeah, I would agree that it also helps to have city and county residents come, and the advertising will do that as well. If there was no more discussion, I was going to go, I think the committee has done an excellent job and done the staff work appropriate, and I was going to make a motion unless there was more discussion.
I had discussion from Kathleen, so if you want to hold 1 second, Joel, that would be great. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Well, I just wanted to say that Porch Fest has come a long way in the 5 years. I went this year, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that were there. Now, it seemed to me there'd be a lot of locals, and countywide were there. But yeah, I guess you would need some kind of tracking mechanism to see how far they come from, because you can't just tell, you know, being there. But there was a ton of people. All the streets are full. There was hardly any parking on the neighboring streets, and it was very encouraging to see.
All right, further discussion. I've got Victoria and Indra. Victoria?
Yeah, I think this is, economic development is really important for the city, and developing, but what I would like to see, I do believe that I am in favor, because it seems like not a huge amount of money to spend, but I would like to see us be able to really track the return on the investment year over year, so we would be able to tell people, anecdotally though, I will say Porch Fest is probably a good indicator that this did work somewhat, because it's just grown exponentially and brought a lot of economic opportunity to the city, so I think that's good. But if we could very concretely see that for the people and show them, that would be wonderful.
All right, further discussion. I've got Indra.
Yes, I too love Porch Fest, and I think it's a great asset to our community. My only thing, I would rather see 5,000 go directly to Porch Fest than for the event, than 1,500 go to tracking, because in my mind, and the reason I was asking those questions before, we have Visit Krantz Pass, which sole purpose is to get people over 50 miles and track that for our events, and they get over $1 million from the city. So it seems like it's duplicating money. So I don't understand why they aren't already doing that. And so I look at that 1,500 as a duplication of money that I would rather see go right to the event than that. So that would be my only objection with this. Otherwise, I'm all for all of it, all the awards.
Thank you, Indra. I got further discussion. Joel?
I was going to go ahead and make the motion, but I think there needs to be a response to what Indra said, and see if there was a duplication of funds or not. And I think our economic development staff would have that answer.
Okay, we're going to ask Dana to respond.
Because the Porch Fest has primarily been a community-run event, Visit Krantz Pass would not be able to identify, I guess, whether or not there are people coming from far away. This gives us an opportunity to look at that, and if the data comes back and shows us that it is drawing people from far away, then I think Visit Grants Pass would definitely include that on their list of places to, or events to market.
All right, thank you.
And
I think,
I would-
go ahead, Joel.
I would add to that, that the advertisement for Porch Fest then would be also outside our area, trying to attract people from greater than 50 miles, correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's what this funding would be specifically for.
Yeah, so it would pay for the advertising to attract people from greater than 50 miles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move to adopt the resolution awaiting funds for the fall 2025 cycle of the Tourism Promotion Grant Program to Latitude Wine Tours, Grants Pass, DBA, HRA, LLC, and Road Gateway Rotary Foundation in accordance with law for the tourism tax.
Thank you, Joel. And we got a second from Rick. So we have a motion on the table to proceed forward with this funding and a second. Further discussion. I have Eric.
Yes, thank you. Just more of a statement. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to give some of that money to the Nada Bar to promote some actual good non-alcoholic type of atmosphere for the younger people in Grants Pass. I know I've heard many times by the community, we need more younger promoted activities for the younger crowd, and that maybe that could have been one of those things. But just a thought, a discussion. Things I was thinking about.
Thank you,
That's
Eric. Any further discussion? Yeah, I think I do need to weigh in on this because realistically we kind of have to get to the point. This grant program is funded by lodging tax, which has certain parameters. Lodging tax is collected from people staying in our hotels and utilizing, mainly this tax is collected from people outside our area. So these funds are utilized to promote more activities, to bring more bodies to hotels and collect more taxes. So that's kind of the premise behind it. So I do agree with the committee's choice in not funding the last two items on that, but I just wanted to add that comment to it. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go into a vote. Rick?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Indra? Still there, Indra?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Thank you, Indra. All right, motion passes and the resolution passes. Thank you. All right. Further on to the agenda tonight, we've come to the point in the evening for public comment. General public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on items not related to a public hearing or council action items for the council. The intent is to provide information that is pertinent to the city's jurisdiction. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the council as one body, not to individuals. At the conclusion of public comment, council will have the opportunity to respond. This meeting will proceed in an effective and courteous manner. Citizens and council members will be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free from slander, threats, and other personal attacks. Signs or placards, outbursts of applause, campaigning for public office, or other disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. If you have a question regarding any government-provided service or a current city policy, please contact the city manager's office in an attempt to resolve this matter. I have a number of blue cards, and we'll just start at the top here. We have Shoan. If you want to step up to the podium, please.
That was quick. Shoni Nelson, Grants Pass, Oregon. And I wanted to go for story time. I even brought props. So this book actually, and I wasn't, looking for something like this to bring up. I actually went to Hero at the library for my son. And while we were there, this was presented, not in a slot. It was presented front ways, as in, for the kids to see and grab that one. And what I wanted to say about it was, this was in the kids section where kids are let free to go pick whatever they want to pick and maybe bringing it to an adult that doesn't even know what it is and maybe the kid could have read it. And where I want to go with this is actually entitled, Who Are You? The Kid's Guide to Gender Identity. And this is actually a teacher's book, okay? Which actually I'll point that out too. So someone pointed out to me that in the back, if you look in the back of the book, which I didn't know, this is the state of Oregon down here, the bottom. This is federal up here, which meant this went through a school and then was passed down to the library. So this is a teacher's book that has a teacher's curriculum in it. Should not have been, in my opinion, there for kids to grab. They're not a teacher for one thing. Now the other, this is a kid's book, age 3 to 10. Now just to read you some things, and we'll go in there. If I picked one of you guys and I said, hey, let's figure out your identity really quick. You like singing, football, dresses, panties. You are genderqueer, non-binary. Now the center says, a body that made adults guess girl. And there's only 3 for your I have a body. 14 seconds. A body that made adults say not sure. This is for 3 to 10. 3-year-olds. So, a body that made adults guess girl. And then your I am has a ton of stuff in there.
Thank you.
For a 3-year-old.
All right, I have Byron Robinson.
Good evening, Byron Robertson, county resident. Couple things, try to be quick. I do want to appreciate everybody for everything they do. I sit at home sometimes, watch these. I come here and watch them. I'm part of a task force currently. But a couple kudos I do want to do. It's a little late. I've been trying to have a meeting with Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Elliott for about 6 months. It finally happened yesterday. Positive meeting. Want to say thank you. Got some stuff off our chest. I think it was a great dialogue, so I appreciate the time for you to do that. The one thing I do want to comment on really quickly on my short time here is I sat and watched the RFP process discussion in your workshop with the homeless grant. Besides, we all know it was a complete disaster the first time. Couple things. Your RFP is similar to what we do when we bid out a contract with Public Works. All right, it's very similar. Your RFP was so broad, you had so many potential holes in it. I was wondering if Public Works, they could step in and help our attorney, Ms. Nuttall, because she obviously has a lot on her plate. She's helping with that. She's helping with us on our task force, besides litigation, besides everything. So it feels like maybe she's bearing a lot of the load, and maybe she likes that. I'm not sure. But it looks like the RFP process needs to be streamlined. I know as us contractors, we have to be pre-qualified to even bid. So a pre-qualification process to even get somebody even be able to submit that proposal. And then on top of that, our subcontractors also have to be pre-qualified, have to have some kind of a basis before they can even go to work on a job that we hopefully successfully get. So something to do, more vetting, more control. Obviously you guys have, it's a huge deal, I get it. But hopefully we can pare things down and tighten that thing up. Thank you.
All right, I have Bob. Okay, we'll put you to the back of the list if that's okay. Thanks, Bob. Dell.
Dell Aldridge, City. I wanted to come up earlier to talk about that, the grant thing, but I kind of felt wrong. I took 3 people from the track to their homes, or excuse me, to an Airbnb. They didn't go to hotels. I don't know if your Airbnbs are even paying into the system, but I think you need to look into that because that's a big revenue stream. A lot of my Uber rides are from to Airbnbs and from. Let's go to the parks. I want to apologize, Chief. I may have come out really hard last week, but I'm passionate about this. My wife says I got to tone it down a little bit. But to know that more people have died from opiate addiction in the last 20 years and all the wars we've ever been in. It's shocking that we don't all just go, front page news, somebody just died, somebody died, somebody died. And it's happening every day. We're becoming numb to it, and I don't think it's right. You know, and I apologize. You're doing a great job. I've noticed a really big increase in Morrison Park. I kind of, in between Uber drives, I drive through there, and I've followed 3 or 4 cops in a row out there. But they're leaving some of the car campers in there, and I don't understand why. There should be no car campers. And the bathrooms being closed at 10 o'clock when all the parks close at 8, except for Riverside, don't understand that. That's something you got to deal with, because the bathrooms are drug dens. The homeless the druggies are staying in the parks. They're doing their best to get around us. I'll report them. I got caught your end of the meeting, and I really appreciate it. We'll report them when we find them. We're going to do some walkthroughs in the middle of the night. This is all at Morrison Park. When we got there, there was a lot of homeless in that park. When we left an hour later, they were all disappeared, especially after the cops came through twice. And we didn't even call them. Somebody else did. We're going to have another cleanup in Gilbert. That's a big park problem with car campers. We got the other part, we got Riverside all squared away, but why don't these other parks have signs up, no camping after hours on the street or in the park? Got to be fair to all the parks. They've suffered long enough. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Fitch?
My name is Mr. Fitch, returned resident. I'm a United States Federal Code Civil Rights Advocate, and I need to provide public notice to the City of Grants Pass. This is in accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedures, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 of the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States is an overarching requirement, excuse me, requirements that every state must follow. You can't deny that. Clause 1, Amendment 5 states, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless presentment or indictment by a grand jury. However, the state of Oregon has enacted its own alternative legislation that permits prosecuting attorneys, police officers to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment. Title 18, subsection 241, 242 is deprivation of rights. An emolument violation is when you pay public officials to break the law, and the Constitution has 2 areas that enforces this. Article 1, Section 10 says that no state shall create any law that shall impair the obligation of contract. Police officers, prosecutors, judges, you are all under contract. A contract to perform based on oath or affirmation that they took to support and defend the Constitution. Article 1, Section 10 states the 14th Amendment is the other place you'll find this enforcement in the issue. There are states that no state shall create or enforce the law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the United States citizen. Privileges and immunities of the United States citizens are at a minimum those enumerated within the Bill of Rights for the first 10 amendments. Unfortunately, the state of Oregon has enacted its own inferior constitution.
Thank you.
I have a document for you guys.
All right, next up we have Rika Brown.
Please follow compliance.
Rika Brown, 1415 Southwest Bridge Street, Grants Pass. Last meeting, I talked about how Hunga Tonga had made fall through spring wet. And the rain was early this year in mid-August. But seawater in the stratosphere doesn't only make clouds and rain, it also makes heat. Because water vapor is the most powerful and abundant of greenhouse gases, and in the stratosphere, it has few molecules in the way of infrared heat reaching the ground. The first 2 years after the volcano blew 150 million tons of water into the stratosphere, we had much hotter 100-degree plus weather in July and August. But that heat showed up only on clear days, which one would expect. This year, it happened on partly cloudy days most of the summer. It reminded me of the weather in Arizona during monsoon season, and we have been getting more monsoon weather coming from the southwest this year. This makes me think that there's a bell curve to the amount of rain coming out of the stratosphere, and we are in the middle of the curve, if scientists are right that Hunga Tonga weather effects will last only 5 years. The forecast for this winter calls for a warm winter with a lot more rain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Mike Pelfrey. Is he still online? Nope, okay, apologize. All right, Bob, you're up now. You're good? All right, I appreciate you guys' comments. Thank you very much. At this moment in time, we're proceeding on with the agenda to the consent agenda. Can we get that posted up on the screen? Correct. We do have one start item on that. Item A, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter in a contract for 2021 Safe Routes to Schools, Phase 2, project number TR 6410.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Today I'm going to be providing a brief presentation on the Safe Routes to School Phase 2 up at Lincoln Elementary School. So, I already went through that. Okay, so a little history on what the Safe Routes to School program is. It was originally created by the federal government, and from 2005 to 2012, they provided money for reducing barriers for children to walk to school. That ended in 2012, at which point the state put together a funding package that created their own Safe Routes to School program, which is still in place today. Funding is competitively awarded for construction grants that remove or reduce barriers and hazards for children to walk or bike to school. There are also different components in it, like an educational component that has its own grant that you can look at. And also there is a rapid response grant. So if there is an immediate concern that for safety, you can apply for rapid response grants. The grant application periods are only open for certain periods of time. They open every couple years. So in 2020, the city was awarded a large Safe Routes to School grant for Lincoln Elementary School for pedestrian enhancements. The grant included about $1.38 million in state resources. You'll see in the printout that I've fat fingered a number in there. It is not 1.58, it's 1.38. And the project was split into two different phases. So we did phase 1, and I'll show you some pictures of that, and that took care of the frontage of Lincoln Elementary, and we did that during the summertime to impact the schools as little as possible. And then phase 2 is to complete the grant requirements based on what our application was. So the first one, I just kind of wanted to show you what the first project did, and this would be 10th Street looking to the south at approximately the intersection of Pepperwood. You'll see that there's no sidewalk on the eastern side, be the left-hand side of your screen. Not real good crossings. If you can imagine this, or if you've been in that area during school drop-off time, it is a mess, an absolute mess. So right now, there wasn't a lot of places for kids to be. So after this project, we installed sidewalk where there wasn't sidewalk, retaining walls, because this is kind of a steep slope area, so there's a lot of retaining walls in people's yards. We put in a raised pedestrian crossing, which is that kind of lighter colored pavement that goes across. It's actually concrete. It's a little bit like a speed bump, and so then people have to slow down and go through the school zone. So that's basically the mission statement of the Safe Routes to School, is to do stuff like that. Phase 1 was awarded through City Council in June of 2023, and it was completed in August, right before school. Installed 2 raised pedestrian crossings on 10th Street and a bunch of ADA infrastructure along 10th Street, as well as sidewalk infill. We relocated a few traffic poles and power poles that were also in conflict with people that were walking. We also replaced an aging water line in Churchill Street that was in conflict with the newly constructed sidewalks on both sides of Churchill. And that was post-COVID, so it's kind of a little bit of a funny story, I guess. We got the grant pre-COVID, 2020. I created engineer's estimates at that time, and then we had trouble with all kinds of things, supply issues and all sorts of stuff. So When we awarded Phase 1, it actually ended up using up all of our grant dollars. So there was a local match, of course, which took care of the federal funding, or the state funding, but Phase 2 is coming out of our pocket to fulfill the grant requirements. So Phase 2, the remaining items is to install infill sidewalks on Riddle. Those will be on the south side of Riddle, and it's kind of on the back side. There's basically 3 different ways to get into the school for pedestrians. One is from Memorial and Riddle. And also it installs or upgrades ADA ramps on 9th Street, as well as on Memorial Drive, and installs some infill sidewalk on Heffley Street. So Phase 2 has to be done by December 31st, 2025, this year, or we'll be in breach of our agreement for the Safe Routes to School. It had to be done in 5 years. If that is the case, then we'll have to pay back the state grant amount. The city competitively solicited bids August 28th of 2025, and we opened bids, I'm sorry. Yep, we opened bids then. Issued a notice of intent to award on August 29th. We received 5 responsive bids, and the lowest was Freedom Builders LLC at $474,000. And the city has 30 days to award that contract. And we have adequate funding within the capital project TR 6410 for this project. So with that, I'd take any questions you guys have.
All right, any questions from council? Victoria?
So, I guess my question is, why do we have to finish this? Why do we have to finish this when we've already finished the Lincoln? The streets that are included are kind of well off of really highly traveled. I mean, they aren't busy streets, and well, Heffley doesn't have the sidewalk, so I guess I sort of understand that. But so, I guess my question is, are we finishing this because it's in the parameters of a grant, and or could we get away with not finishing this and still not have to pay back the grant?
That's a really good question. So, short answer is yes. The project was selected based on, hey, we are going to do all of these things. We did part of it, but it was competitively awarded. So if we were to only do part of it, that wouldn't have been fair to the other applicants at that time, which is how the state looks at it. I've got a couple hidden slides in here. We did all kinds of things when we were competitively awarding the grant. For example, this is a heat map that was showing where the students lived that attended Lincoln back in 2019. So we used that to help decide where the kids might be traveling to try to help them walk and bike. We also looked at some walking sheds and different ways to access the school, and so that's how we chose that. We had a lot of community partners. We had Blue Zones, the school district, the principal, the PTA, Bikeways and Walkways Committee, city staff, and we all walked these and determined the 3 or 4 high priority areas to install infrastructure. And so that's where this was created. We also created a full master plan, which was adopted as an amendment to the transportation system plan that did the same thing for all the other schools. So there's usually 2 to 3 projects for each school that went through the same process. So yeah, they're kind of on the back side of it, but it's one of the best ways to get into the school is from the Riddle Memorial side.
So we do have to finish this project, or we have to pay back the entire grant, more than likely.
That's been the state's stance, and
Okay.
I'd imagine they'll hold to that, but I don't want to test them.
All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions?
I had one, Clint.
Go ahead, Joel. Thank you.
Actually, I had two questions. They're both with funding. Wade, a good presentation, and I appreciate the project. The previous council did a great job of getting the grant, and Valerie did a great job of bringing that money to the community to make it an even better place for the kids and the environment in which we live. One is the aging water line. Was that paid with the grant dollars for increased access for the kids, or was that paid by the water funds that we have to replace our existing infrastructure that's aging?
A little bit of both. That's a good question, Joel, or Counselor. A little bit of both. So we did put in some water dollars to help pay for that. It was an undersized water line. It was, there's a variety of reasons that came into it. We did what we called a road diet on Churchill Street, which is where we actually narrowed it, because if you remember Churchill before, it was very wide. Even if you had two cars parked on both sides, there was plenty of room to be out in the middle. So we actually narrowed it, and part of that, when we narrowed it, it put the curb gutter and sidewalk on top of the 6-inch water line, which was already undersized and approaching 50 years old. It also needed to get realigned with the new water line that we were putting in on Beacon Drive, which was part of a county project. So there was some synergy in the timing as well.
Sure. So what percentage did the water funding pay for the water line, and what percentage did the grant pay for it?
Oh, I'll have to go back and look at that, but the water line should have covered, or the water fund should have covered the water portion of it. The escalation.
Okay, good, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we need to know. The second question is the funding for the second half, that fund code, which I'm not generally familiar with, but the source of revenue for that fund code is?
Generally, it's gas tax, the city's, city's share of the state highway fund.
Yep. Thank you, Wade. Good job.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Joel. Further questions? I have Indra.
Yes, so when we did the master plan and all and got the grant, that was pre-COVID?
Yeah, it was.
Is that what you?
Yep.
Okay, and so did we actually start the project pre-COVID?
No, we didn't. So we got the original grant in 2020. So we did a lot of the planning in 2019, and then COVID hit immediately after that, which led to a really large rise in escalation in material costs as well as labor charges during that time. But we were also constrained by the agreement timeline to get the work done.
So did we realize at that time before we started the project that it was going to cost way more and the city would have to pick up the tab? Did we know at that time when we started, and we just started anyway?
When we opened the bids, we understood what the costs were about the time that we opened the bids. There were also some cost overruns on that project, a few things that we had to fix to make it a better product that went into that. Although I would say it's a very excellent use of gas tax. As somebody that would propose projects like this, I would be happy to use city resources to increase safety and infrastructure for students around schools.
Well, I understand that. I think we all want students to be safe around schools. I guess I'm just getting at, just for future knowledge, for future grants that we go for. So when we go for a grant and get funded and we think it's going to fund the entire thing so everyone votes for it, but then we actually find out it's not going to, but we started anyway. Was council aware at that time and approved that the city would be beholden to pay almost $500,000 more?
Oh, I don't think so. I think we knew what the project cost was at that time, and we knew what the city's share of the project was based on state funding shares. But no, we didn't know what future costs were going to be or what phase 2 looked like, other than general parameters like we need to put sidewalks on Riddle.
Did we know we would not, that the grant would not cover phase 2 when we started phase 1?
Yeah.
Did we know that?
Yep, and we certainly asked them too if they were willing to give us more money, and at which point they said no.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we knew we would have to pay, the city would have to pay phase 2. So I guess my other question is, before we accepted the grant, but before we started the project, is it okay to say no and we want to give grant money back because we realize it's not going to work for us?
Yes.
Have we ever done that, or is that okay to do?
It would certainly be okay to do. I'm unaware if we've ever done that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is, I think it was Terry Lane, where we were able to utilize some federal dollars, and we denied the federal dollars because it would have run the cost up at least 50% more, and so we used local dollars to do it. And so instead of it being like a $1.5 million project, it ended up being a $1 million project because we did not use federal dollars.
I'd just like to add a little bit on there, just from my experience too. When you are asking agencies for grants and they award you, it doesn't look well on our entity when we give the money back because we've taken that away from somebody else's project potentially. And so that is something that potentially can be weighed against us in future applications.
All right, any further questions? All right, thank you very much, Wade, for your presentation. And then can we get the consent agenda shown?
Sure.
Do we have discussion or?
If you want to further discuss this, sure, go ahead, Indra.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a question, but I do have a discussion. And I guess I just want to point out that this is the exact reason taking grants from state and federal isn't always wise, because $500,000 almost is a lot of money, and now it's almost like we're blackmailed into or coerced into spending it, because if we don't, we pay $1 million something. So I just want to point out that we have to be careful accepting grants from state and federal, because there are strings attached a lot. And this is a lot of money now that the city has to come up with. Nothing to do, and we might have voted for it because it is for safety for our kids, and we might have voluntarily spent city money without a grant, but now we're forced to do something with money that we may not want to use for that. That's just a point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Indra. All right, we have, Kathleen?
Well, I just wanted to clarify, it said on page 9, the city has adequate funding in TR 6410, Lincoln Elementary Pedestrian Access, SRTS, for the contract amount. So it's already covered.
Thank you, Kathleen. Any further discussion?
Wade was going to mention.
Wade, go ahead.
I was just going to agree, yes. I could look up the exact number, but there's approximately, I have $770,000 in that project, which will cover the contract amount and any potential change orders, as well as the remaining engineering charges internally that are charged to it. So we're in good shape.
All right. We have a consent agenda on the screen now, and so I would bring it back for council for some action. Victoria.
I move to adopt the consent agenda as written.
And we have a second from Kathleen. Indra, you have something to add?
Oh, yes, I did. I was just going to address Kathleen's. I mean, we do have money to pay for it, but that money we spend could go to another project. I mean, that's why it comes from one to another. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda with a second. Any further discussion? All right, go for a vote. Rick?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Victoria?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Consent agenda passes. Next on the agenda for tonight's meeting is mayor and council comments. I'll bring it back to council for any discussion.
I just had one thing, Clint.
Go ahead, Joel.
I just wanted to come back to an earlier comment, and Victoria appropriately mentioned looking at the step increases and looking at it 5 years out, and it isn't double on the present schedule. But if you take that amount and multiply it by 1.05 interest for the next 7 years, that would be that amount times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05. And if you look at that answer, that's when the salary then would be double in year 7. I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, any other counselors for comments? Victoria?
Yes, I just wanted to give some kudos to Chief about, we met about property along the railroad tracks. People have been concerned about campsites and garbage along the railroad tracks, and even though it is within city property, it does belong to the railroad. So he went out of his way to make sure to contact them, and they are going through more measures to make sure that the city and the railroad are working together to make sure that those things get cleaned up with, and also just so the public knows to report that to the police, because they can then, I think the process is going to be a little bit more easy, if I understood correctly, about being able to go and get those cleaned up with the extra cooperation between the railroad and city police. And maybe Chief would like to just to say a word about that or so, maybe make sure I correctly.
Just to, I didn't actually reach out to the railroad, just within our communication, we always maintain good relationships with everybody, to include the railroad. And I think the point to share with community tonight is, if you see something, say something, and if it's a violation of city code, we will give that to our code enforcement community service officers, and if we have to resolve it utilizing a notice of violation, we will go that route so we can gain compliance. We've utilized this before, and a notice of violation is just simply that. Nobody has to pay a fine, but we look for compliance, and we've had great successes with that. And in that Agnes and railroad track area, we've actually had some good successes. So I just wanted to share that. We're there for the community. Just reach out to us, and we'll go towards code enforcement if we have to.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for clarifying that. And thank you, though, again, for what you're doing there.
Any further comments from council? I got Kathleen, and call out to anybody online. It looks like I have Indra, so we'll Kathleen first.
I just wanted to address Mr. Robertson's concern about the RFP for the grant. And it feels like we learned a lot from the first go-around, and I don't think I'd call it a disaster. I mean, we did have somebody that was recommended, and we did, have a good screen for everyone, and it's funny the way it falls out, but maybe because it wasn't as specific as it could have been, we weren't able to choose somebody. But I think we're doing that this time, aren't we, Stephanie? I mean, it feels like we've tightened the parameters quite a bit, streamlined it. I'm not sure what you meant by pre-qualification, because we've talked extensively about the background checks and all of that kind of thing with the people that would work with the applicant. But maybe there is something to glean from a contractor's RFP versus what we're trying to do with the grant application. But I think we're trying to get it more accurate this time, so hopefully it will be. Did you have maybe people that we should be talking to, as far as maybe Stephanie has some suggestions about who to talk to or how to get that more streamlined?
The only thing that I would weigh in on is that construction contracts are a very different beast from what we did. An RFP along the lines of the services and bringing in an entity to be able to provide those is a different thing. And we did have that discussion early on with the RFP about keeping it broad so that we could let the service providers be creative to tell us what they could do for us. And that's different from a construction contract where you would say, this is exactly what we want, who can build it for us the cheapest, meeting our standards. So they're different things, and we can't really compare them as easily.
But do you think that this go around we have streamlined it a little bit more?
I think we've tightened up the areas that were a little bit weak, and hopefully we'll get something that better suits the city's needs.
All right, further comments? Indra?
Yes, I just wanted to quickly touch on the parks, and I just wanted to appreciate the Park Watch and any other group that are helping to clean up our parks and going through and trying to get people out from camping in our parks. And then just to, the chief has often said, if you see something, say something. So I would just encourage, just like Neighborhood Watch, Park Watch, people living around the parks, to be vigilant. And if they see things that should be reported to police, they should call. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion or any further comments? Just to call out to Eric or Joel, did you guys have anything to add tonight?
I'm just listening.
Okay, thank you. Victoria?
Yeah, I actually did write a few more notes down, and thank you, Kathleen, because now I'm looking at them. So I find climate science extremely interesting, and I think that it needs to be, people need to understand a whole lot more about it. And so I really appreciated your, Rika, your information that you gave on, you know, wet winters and volcanoes, and there's so much that people don't know, and we have a lot of laws on the books based on things we don't actually know. So just thank you for that, because I find it's very important. And not that the city, it isn't our area of, we don't run the library, but Shoni was telling us about books that are in the library, and I think it's just important that age-appropriate books are available for children, and books that might not be appropriate should not be available. So I thought that bringing that up was important, and it's something for parents to be on the lookout for. And so I just wanted to mention thanks to the community members who brought those two things up.
Thank you. Any further comments from councilors? Staff? Anything to add? Go ahead, JC.
One of the public commented about potentially short-term rentals not being collected. I do want to let everybody know that we do collect for on short-term rentals, and those are things like Airbnb.
All right, thank you. Any other staff? All right, thank you. We don't have an executive session planned or scheduled, so we are at the end of our meeting. And
Comment.
Go ahead, Eric.
I just wanted to recognize that today is Constitution Day, and it's what makes this country great, is our Constitution. It's a great republic that we live in, and I just wish that much of what is in the Constitution would be adhered to on the state level here in Oregon. Unfortunately, we have what we have in Oregon. We don't like all the laws that are here in Oregon, but I just wish that they would adhere to a lot of the Constitution that is in place on the national level. So that's all I had. Thank you again for accommodating me online here, and happy Constitution Day to this great country.
Thank you, Eric. Victoria?
I motion to adjourn.
All right, and we got a second from Rick. We have a motion to adjourn. Does everybody want to adjourn? Yay, we're adjourned. Thank you.